they're not yet connecting food waste with larger environmental impacts like methane emissions from decomposing food in landfills. And then the last one is some people are surprised to find a store like ours because they assume food waste solutions are only available in community pantries. So once they experience Beyond Best Before, they realize that premium brands can be accessible and integrated into everyday shopping.
Hello and welcome to Season 3 of Food Waste Matters, the podcast where we tackle the issue of food waste head on. Every episode, we meet with individuals who are actively working to make our food systems more sustainable. From dedicated researchers to creative entrepreneurs, we share the stories and insights that push us all to think and act differently about the food we consume and the waste we produce. And why are we focusing on this? Because reducing food waste is crucial for tackling climate change, saving energy, and securing a sustainable future for our planet. Here at Food Waste Matters, our goal is to provide you with knowledge and motivation through real-life examples and expert advice. So let's meet our guest today and hear what they're doing in their fight against food waste. Today, we're taking a close look at Beyond Best Before, which is a unique business that has successfully turned food waste reduction into a thriving retail operation. Beyond Best Before was started by sisters Katie and Maggie Quach as a pop-up store in July 2023. Now, their idea quickly caught on with the community, leading to the opening of 2 permanent locations, one in Newtown and one in Miranda, suburbs of Sydney. But for those who can't visit the store in person, their products are also available online. Their business model is straightforward yet impactful. They sell food that is near or past its best before date at significantly reduced prices. This not only offers value to customers, but also helps the amount of waste going to landfill. It's a smart, effective approach that challenges those conventional grocery practices and positively impacts our planet. Now let's welcome one of the creative minds behind Beyond Best Before, Maggie, who will share more about their journey from a temporary pop-up to managing 2 bustling store locations and their online presence, all while making a significant dent in food waste. Maggie, it's great to have you here, and I can't wait to hear all about how you started this remarkable journey.
Hi, Joanne. How are you? Good to be here. I'm very excited to share what we've learned so far on our journey over the last year and a half.
Okay, Maggie, so let's just get right into it. So your business model is built around reducing landfill waste. That's a fantastic goal. How did you come up with this idea? And can you share with us how effective it has been in achieving waste reduction since you started your business?
Yeah, so the idea for Beyond Best Before came from seeing firsthand how much perfectly good food goes to waste due to strict retail standards. Myself and my sister work in corporate environments, and observing supply chains, we noticed how often surplus stock, short date products, or items with minor packaging changes were discarded. It's huge and an unnecessary loss, both environmentally and financially, when this food could actually help so many people. So since we've started, our impact has been tangible and growing. We've redirected hundreds of thousands of kilos from landfill and helped change perceptions around factors contributing to pantry waste. So our physical hub in Miranda and Newtown serve as an experiential learning hub where people can witness the products firsthand. Feedback from our customers has reinforced that we're meeting a real demand. The momentum keeps building as more people realize the positive impact and the enormous amount of dollar savings they can make from purchasing products from us.
So you started as a pop-up and now you've grown into 2 permanent locations. That's a huge achievement in itself. And it sounds as though the community really got behind you. Could you tell us more about the kind of support you received from your local community and how that has impacted on your business?
Yeah, so we've been really fortunate to be able to establish such strong rapport and relationships with the community. So one of our partnerships is with the University of Sydney, which has been incredibly valuable. We were fortunate enough to be selected for the Genesis and Incubate startup programs this year, which is a highly competitive and rigorous selection process, where we were able to work with mentors and connect with like-minded individuals, all of whom have been instrumental in helping us advance our mission. Over the last year or so, we also managed to establish strong relationships with nonprofits such as churches, charities, and other community organizations. So one of them being Headspace, where we support their initiatives in meaningful ways. And by this, I mean providing them with pantry items for their pantries, for hampers, for customers and clients. So we've broadened our reach to raise awareness, and we're now exploring partnerships with groups like Probus, Lions, Rotary, and similar organizations. But that's just the organizations. We've also been able to establish really strong rapport with the local community in the Shire and Newtown as well. So everyone's been quite supportive with what it is that we're trying to achieve, which is to reduce waste.
So in your journey with Beyond Best Before, you've been able to interact with a wide range of consumers and organisations. So you have a unique vantage point on how people perceive food waste. What have you found to be some of the most common misconceptions about food waste amongst the people that you've been interacting with?
Yeah, this is probably one of my favourite questions. There are definitely consistent themes in how people perceive food waste. So one of the most widespread misconceptions is around best before and use by dates. Many people assume anything past a date label is expired and unsafe, but we know that that's just simply not the case. Products past their best before can still be consumed, sometimes months or even years beyond what's printed on the labels. The other one is perception of quality. So many people assume that waste or surplus items are lower quality, damaged, or undesirable. But once customers see our range in our stores and they see premium brands and high quality items with minor packaging imperfections or perfectly fine packaging but still have a few months shelf life left, they realize that food waste isn't just about inferior products. There can be many reasons which contribute to the products not making it on supermarket shelves. One of being, last minute order cancellations. So I think two more things come to mind. Environmental impact. So surprisingly, most consumers understand that waste is bad, but they're not yet connecting food waste with larger environmental impacts like methane emissions from decomposing food in landfills. And then the last one is some people are surprised to find a store like ours because they assume food waste solutions are only available in community pantries. So once they experience Beyond Best Before, they realize that premium brands can be accessible and integrated into everyday shopping. So there's still a gap in understanding. That's the general observation. With the high cost of living, though, there are savings to be made and customers don't have to compromise on quality grocery.
So on your website and on your socials, you often mention that products you sell are deemed unfit to sell at conventional grocery stores. What does that actually mean? And, so what standards or criteria lead to food being categorised in this way?
Yeah, so there are several reasons why food can end up classified as being unfit to sell, even though it remains safe and still of a high quality. So the key factors are date labels. Products nearing their best before date or just past are removed from the shelves. And we know that the best before date is just about optimal quality. It doesn't actually impact the taste of the product at all. Packaging changes. So when brands update their packaging design, they might choose to clear out items with the older design, even though the product itself hasn't changed. And, grocery stores just prefer having consistent packaging on display for aesthetics. The other reason is seasonal or promotional items. Food items made for specific holiday or promotion may be taken off shelves if they don't sell after the season ends. There's always order cancellations or overstock. So there's many players or constituents in the whole end-to-end supply chain. So you can think of retailers, which is your supermarkets, your importers, your brokers. So the brokers could be people who import American groceries or from other European countries and then sell it to retail supermarkets or your local grocery stores as well. They often or occasionally overestimate demand, which leads to surplus stock. And then there's also last minute cancellations. So a couple of other things come to mind: cosmetic imperfections, so dents or tears in packaging or slightly off-center labels might not meet retailer standards, even if the content are perfectly intact. And then, of course, there's occasionally storage and delivery delays, which leads to order cancellations. So supermarkets generally won't take products that have about, 6 months shelf life. Like even for us as consumers, that's a whole lot of time left to consume these products. But it's just not a long enough lead time for supermarkets to consider placing the products on their shelves because of the whole logistical supply chain. Sometimes it could take weeks before it ends up in someone's pantry or months. And so it's just too short of a lead time for them to consider these products.
So I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute with regards to the challenges of the supermarket specifications or standards. What could they do different? What is the role of supermarkets in this battle against reducing food waste?
I think it's fine for supermarkets to continue stocking the products that they have and following the guidelines that they have around purchasing stocks which still quite a lot of lead time on the shelf life date. But I think one of the alternative solutions for them, if they still want to recoup their costs, is considering solutions or startups like us who provide an alternative outlet for them to be able to, distribute these products that they don't want on their shelves, but still makes it salvageable. And it gives people an opportunity to save on groceries. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these items at all. And I think, one of the things that I've heard from a lot of suppliers is that occasionally it's just cheaper for them to throw it out than donate it because of the expenses associated with transportation. So for them to, fill a truck with petrol costs money. If they don't have trucks, they have to go and hire a truck. Then they've got to get a driver who has a forklift license to move these pallets of food onto the truck. They got to hire a truck driver. Like all of these elements in the whole process of transportation costs money. And sometimes you've got charities and organizations like that who need extra labeling on the products before the products can be accepted as donations. So this is extra, resources and effort that needs to be allocated to products that suppliers are already making a loss on. So when I speak to them, I just, they're very happy to have some startups like us who are providing them an option to recoup their losses. And it's a win-win for everyone because at the end of the day, you've got consumers who are struggling with the cost of living and yet they're still able to purchase these products that are of a high quality and be able to save large amounts on it.
Maggie, I've heard this response over and over again. I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of farmers, a lot of fruit and veggie producers, and they shared with me that it was cheaper for them to let the fruit or vegetables fall to the ground. If the fruit was not up to supermarket specifications, it was cheaper for them to let it fall to the ground than get it harvested and even sent to, a food bank or another like-minded organisation. So it's really quite tragic. So it's happening then from what you're telling me all along the supply chain. People acknowledge that there's food waste along the supply chain. They also acknowledge that there's possible solutions, but costs prohibit them from doing anything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the whole ecosystem, there's just leakages across the whole life cycle of production of food from, beginning to the end. And it's not just, shelf stable products like confectionery and drinks. It's perishables as well. there's just so much that can be done. I think the other one that comes to mind is bread. There's a couple of bakeries that just off the top of my head, like I know they have a business rule where their shelves need to be full all the time, even if they know they're not going to be able to sell it all just because they want to make it look nice.
For the
Um,
kitchen.
and because of this, yes, at the end of the day, they've just thrown out all of this bread. I was actually in Met Center one day. I saw a lady. She was walking up to one of the bins, and I had to take a photo because I just needed evidence to share with people because it was just so unbelievable what I was witnessing. And I just asked her how come the charity trucks couldn't come in, and she said, "Oh, not all of these shops have loading docks." And so they can't just pull in a truck at one of the big companies that do have a loading dock to take food from another shop or donating. And I just thought it's such a simple solution that can be instigated, but it isn't. So I think there's so many opportunities along the whole supply chain where there are gaps and there can be easy solutions implemented. But I think it's just a matter of getting all the constituents and all the parties to come to the table to have these discussions so that we can try and figure this out, because there's definitely easy solutions out there that can be implemented.
So, Maggie, on a lighter note, let's have some fun. I've been following you on all your various social media campaigns, and I particularly love your Meals in Minutes, your myth-busting sessions, and your Wasteless Wednesdays. Can you tell us a bit more about these initiatives and also what you're trying to achieve? What's your message?
Yeah, so social media has been a powerful tool for us to reshape how customers think about food waste. Each of these initiatives has a unique focus, but the idea is to make it easy and fun. Meals on Wheels was created to show people how simple it can be to cook with surplus or short date items. We know everyone's pretty short for time these days, and the recipes featured rescued ingredients. So we try and demonstrate how anyone can make quick, tasty meals without spending a lot. It's essentially a reminder that great meals come from ingredients that might otherwise go overlooked. And it's there to encourage people to consider just using all the leftover ingredients, perishables that you might have in your fridge before you throw them out. Myth busting, many consumers still have questions and doubts about the safety and quality of surplus food. So with myth busting, we look at tackling those misconceptions head on. And it's, sometimes there are curly questions that we throw out ourselves. Like one that comes to mind is all of this food could be going to charities. If a startup like you taking that food, then that means we're taking food away from people who really need it. And that was something that we really wanted to tackle head on, because there is so much food waste that not all of it can be taken. And there are some suppliers, which we sort of spoke of before, where it's just cheaper for them to throw it out than to donate it. So I had a supplier who does smoked salmon, and he said to me that basically they were just throwing all the smoked salmon out because the charities required extra labeling on top of the products. And basically what he was saying was that that's extra resources that we have to dedicate to putting labeling on this product that we're already making a loss on. And so it's just adding extra losses on top of a loss they've already incurred. And so for him, he saw us as an opportunity to recoup those losses. And so that's why when we have arguments like, oh, you're taking food away from people who need it, it's not necessarily the case at all. There's so many reasons why food may not end up where it needs to end up. And so we're providing an alternative solution, and we're just trying to reduce waste. That's the premise of our business. So these posts have sparked some of our highest engagement rates, and ultimately it's about building habits and sparking conversations or providing useful tips that keep people engaged in waste reduction.
And I know, Maggie, in regional locations, where all these farmers are located, the food banks or other organisations that are similar to Food Bank, they don't even have depots in that area. So that is not even an option to this produce that's just literally being left to waste. So, Maggie, with the success of both your physical and your online store, what future plans do you have for Beyond Best Before? Are there any new locations, for example, or initiatives that we should be looking out for?
Yes, looking ahead, Beyond Best Before is focused on deepening our community relationships and expanding our educational initiatives. We're also hoping to increase our partnerships with some of the larger corporations for their surplus lines. While we've seen great success with our physical and online stores, our next steps are definitely centered around raising awareness and driving action around food waste. So we're planning more collaborations with nonprofit organizations, as well as looking to empower more customers through our social media campaigns, because we want to continue building a movement that at the crux of it reduces food waste. So stay tuned for exciting updates.
So, final question, Maggie, as we wrap up today's session. If there was one message or key takeaway about food waste that you'd like to leave our listeners, what would that be?
Yes, thanks, Joanne. So I think the key takeaway is that people need to understand that food waste, one of the contributors, it's not just about food that's past the best before date. There's a whole lot of reasons. And so the reason why we have our physical hubs is so that people could witness firsthand the types of brands, the premium brands and the premium products that end up potentially going to landfill. So one of the reasons I said was product packaging changes, product misfits, or just incorrect printing, underweight cheese. These reasons contribute to food waste. So when you think of food waste, it may have connotations like it's inferior, it's not desirable, but that's not the case at all. A lot of the brands that we get in our store, some of these brands are ones that you would see in your premium supermarkets like Harris Farm, David Jones Food. That's the sort of, products that you see in our stores, and that's what we want to change people's perception about. So I think once we sort of encourage more discussions and more educational pieces around this, I think we can really work together as a nation to overcome these negative connotations with what, food waste means.
Well, Maggie, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing the story behind Beyond Best Before, which is a story that's just over such a short period of time. So once again, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today.
No worries at all, Joanne. Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, that brings us to the end of our conversation today with Maggie from Beyond Best Before. We've delved into some critical aspects of consumer perceptions on food waste and heard firsthand about the innovative approaches they're implementing to not only challenge but change those perceptions through their unique business model. It's great to see the tangible impact they're making by transforming the way we think about food waste that is past its best before date. Remember, you don't have to go into their stores to shop as they deliver nationally. Just head over to their website, www.beyondbestbefore.com.au, where you'll be able to log into their online store. Also, to keep up to date with some of their great social initiatives, you can follow them on their Facebook and Instagram accounts. I'll include all of these links in the show notes for you. And if today's discussion sparked your interest, or you have your own food waste reduction initiative you'd like to share, don't hesitate to reach out to us and just send us an email on foodwastematters@honeyandfox.com.au. And also, I'll include all the links we've talked about today in the show notes for you. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Food Waste Matters. Remember, each small change we make can lead to significant environmental impacts. Let's keep pushing the boundaries and exploring ways to reduce food waste in our own lives and in our own communities. So until next time, bye for now.